Let's go to Super Bowl 34, Rams Titans, the famous tackle at the 1. 60
Are we ready?
seconds.
All right. Kurt Warner became the first undrafted quarterback to start in the Super Bowl, and actually the first to do it. It was the Titans' first year in Tennessee after moving from Houston, the Rams' 5th year in St. Louis after moving to Los Angeles. Both Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce had over 100 yards receiving in the game, where Marshall Faulk had just 17 yards, the lowest for a Super Bowl winning team. Receiver Kevin Tyson, I remember, was tackled just before the 1-yard line, short of winning the game. And by the way, he was tackled by Mike Jones, and the Rams held on to win their first Super Bowl. Honestly, it was fun to watch, man. It was one of those games that was so close, back and forth. And by the way, Steve McNair had his 2nd year, the numbers they put up, and it was just a sensational year for the Tennessee Titans, even losing against a very, very good. And by the way, what did they call themselves? Oh yeah, I remember. The best thing. What did they call themselves, Speedy?
Greatest show on turf. All right, Joba, why don't you take this one? Why does this one not belong in the top 5 pound-for-pound Super Bowls of all time?
I think it just took the longevity of, Kurt Warner and obviously his story and whatever. It went down. NFL's greatest game is the longest yard. Hard for me to understand some of these games because I really wasn't that old. So hard trying to go back. I'm not as old as Errol. So, he remembers a little bit more than me.
I'm like 4 years older than you. What the hell is that all about?
Yeah, but you guys had NFL football. We only had the Huskers, so we didn't really care. So yeah.
All right, I have to interject.
Right.
Errol,
I'm not going
to remember him a baby.
It really was.
I was only 14. I don't remember that. I was just worried about jerking off.
Well.
Pound for pound, not analytics.
Oh, my bad. You know what jerking off is,
almost
though.
there.
You were 14 and I was 18. What's the difference?
We'll get to that in a
big difference.
Couple of segments. I'm going to give that one to Errol because you didn't really give much of a rebuttal other than that Errol correctly is old. That is true. All right. Next one we have. This is one of my favorites. Errol, is it Errol or no? It's Joba. Your turn, right? Owen, you could Owen or Joba. You guys figure it out between yourselves. This is a really good one. Super Bowl 49, the famous interception on the goal line by Malcolm Butler on Russell Wilson. 60 seconds on the clock.
Go ahead, Owen.
Yeah, I just take the star power in this. Was an incredible game. Again, Tom Brady doing it, but also the Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman. You had Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. You had Russell Wilson in his prime. You had a bunch of good players, and it came down to the wire, right? You just had Russell Wilson just hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. It's the most controversial play call in Super Bowl history, I would say, and that makes it a great game. And not only that, you got the meme of Richard Sherman in absolute distraught after they passed the ball instead of run the ball with Marshawn Lynch. His players hated him after this. Pete Carroll had to rebrand an entire self, and it was just a great game to watch. Everybody remembers it. Tom Brady got away with another Super Bowl because he didn't hand the ball off. And you know what? That's all there really is to say. When you have the most controversial call in a Super Bowl history, it probably goes down as one of the best Super Bowls.
Pretty good take. Errol, you got some work cut out for you. 30 seconds on the clock. Why does Super Bowl 49 not belong on the top 5 pound-for-pound list?
It was a boring game. Both teams struggled offensively for most of the game with many stalled drives and few big plays. The game was primarily decided defensive stands with interceptions and sacks during the game. There was the controversial call, but the lack of offense, it was really I watched the game. I want to see back and forth. I want to see defense. I want to see offense. There was nothing. The only thing that really stands out of the game was that interception of the game. And by the way, the MVP was Tom Brady. It should have been Malcolm. I don't think it was
Yeah,
that great.
I think Malcolm Butler should have been MVP as well, but Owen's going to win this point. This is definitely Job, a good call, including this one in your top 5. This is one of those, like, for me, Pete Carroll versus Bill Belichick. That's two defensive whizzes going at each other. You should expect that type of a game from the two of them. And that, if you like defensive football, it was a great Super Bowl with arguably the dumbest play call at the end of it in the history of football when you have Marshawn Lynch eating Skittles in the backfield for you. So 2-1. We got one more in this round. And this is Errol. And Errol, it's going to be tough. You guys are going to have a tough one because I think this is one of the greatest ones of all time myself. Super Bowl, the year after Super Bowl 42 was Super Bowl 43, the famous Cardinals, again, Kurt Warner, losing to the Steelers on the famous Santonio Holmes toe tap at the end of the game. Errol, tell us why Super Bowl 43 is a pound for pound top 5 Super Bowl.
Well, it's pretty simple. He played for the Giants, and then he was traded, or he was let go to the Cardinals, and then he led his team. An 8-8 Cardinal team became a team with the least amount of regular season wins to take it to a Super Bowl. Kurt Warner made his second Super Bowl appearance. Both teams threw for 350 yards, and both teams rushed for 100 yards. Larry Fitzgerald had 127 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Santonio Holmes had that toe tap as the second-year player, had 131 yards and the game-winning touchdown. By the way, after that, he got a big contract from the New York Jets. James Harrison had the longest defensive play in Super Bowl history with a 100-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Honestly, it was a great game. It went back and forth. Mike Tomlin against one of the more known coaches in NFL history. I honestly, this was a fun game to watch. It was so fun. Defense, offense, everything was going back and forth in the game. And Kurt Warner put on a show after the Giants gave up on him and gave the reins to Eli Manning. Kurt Warner, another team